I am done with procrastinating. I've dreaded making this video for such a long time, and I just wanna put something out there. So this is gonna be the first video of this channel. This one right here. I am putting myself on the spot, making myself accountable for my actions. So let's start. Welcome to the channel Morphing Beings. As you can see, this first video, the title, it is Morphing Beings. So as this is the first video, I would like to introduce my reason for creating this channel, my reason for stepping into this online world where everyone is creating content and teaching stuff, getting their knowledge out there. So yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. All right. So where do I start? Well, morphing beings. What do I mean with it? Why do I make this the title of my channel, Morphing and Being? Why do I make this first video, Morphing Beings? So why do I put such an emphasis on these two words? Well, morphing is the state of changing. The state of changing, which is inevitable for anything in this universe. This universe is in a constant state of change, so change is something that intrigues me. I find it very interesting. And I like the word morphing. Morphing gives this sense of being able to need something in something else. Morphing. Morphing is state of changing, so it is about adapting. Adapting is also very interesting because we cannot escape it. It will always be there. It will always morph your being into another being. Which gets me to the next word, being. In and of itself, this has two states. A static state of being, a being, and a dynamic state of being, kind of becoming, being, as in the verb sense of the word. So we have morphed ourselves into a being, which is this static being that sits here right in front of you, and we are constantly morphing, changing, adapting into another being, which is happening at the same time. It's a nice little paradox. That said, morphing beings. We are morphing beings. And why do I like these two words so much? Well, it kind of gets to the whole essence of what I think is most interesting in this world, which is movement in every facet. So we have movement in the physical sense, which is very complex. There's a lot to explore there. We have movement in a mental concept, which is also very complex. And we have movement in an emotional concept, or some people would like to call it spiritual, which is also very, very complex. So these three layers are very intertwined with each other. They are very interconnected with each other. And one state can have influence on the other one and vice versa. So working on something is kind of automatically also working on another state. They are always present within each and every one of us. This is interesting because we have this sense of being a being in like the static word. There is something about us that stays the same. We won't drastically look different when we wake up the next morning. So there is a certain state of staticness, you could call it. But there's also this dynamic state. this dynamic state of always changing, always adapting, morphing, as you will. These two are always present, which, like I said, is a nice little paradox. And these two are interesting because we try to get to a certain point, which we make goals for. But in the process, we kind of have to get into this dynamic path towards a static certain being. And I like to work with this. I think there are very different ways to approach this. I think a very big person who has inspired me a lot is Ido Portal, and he talks a lot about different ways to kind of morph yourself, morph a being, morphing and being. So in that sense, I would just like to get my own stuff out there. I think we are beings with a physical body, and this physical body is this interface with us, our inner core, and thus our surroundings. There is this barrier, which is our physical body, and this physical body is very adaptable. Now, of course, there is a certain state of staticness, but it is very adaptable. You work on trading more strength, you will become stronger. You work on running a lot, you will be able to run more and longer distances. So our body is able to change depending on the stimulus that we give it, or that it receives, more objectively. So in this way, we have a lot of different ways of morphing our state of being. As an osteopath, I kind of work with this. Everybody has a certain state of being, everybody has a pattern, literally a pattern that they carry with them, like a barcode, which makes them them as a being. There can be a lot of restrictions in this relative to their body state. For example, someone could have very limited range of motion in their knee, and their knee won't be able to function like it would function optimally. I'm very careful about using words like health and how things should be, because they are quite subjective, quite relative. But I think saying functioning optimally for that person is a good way to put it. So I like to work with these patterns. I have recognized a lot of patterns in myself, and you're also able to just choose what kind of stimuli you would like to put on this pattern, and this pattern will change, morph into something else, maybe something more optimal in that space and time, maybe something less optimal. Doesn't really matter. What matters is the fact that it changes, it morphs into a different being as the dynamic sense of the word. So what am I gonna talk about these videos, which I will put up on this channel? And there are a lot of topics that I just like to explore. This first video is kind of me just putting myself out there, because like I said, I am done procrastinating. I don't really care anymore if this is not perfect. I just want to put something out there. To be honest, I don't have the best computer with me. So yeah, I would have loved to make some more like edits and stuff to my videos, but for now, just me talking about stuff we'll have to do. So these next videos, I will probably get a topic that I want to talk about. I will work it out a bit more. I will make it a bit more structured, structured, I think so. And I will present it to you in a good way, educational way. I will give examples from my environment, which is familiar to me. And if you have anything you want to say about anything, feel free to let me know. That's kind of the whole reason why I am doing this, to get more feedback, to put myself out there in the world. Yeah, with that said, we are morphing beings. We either morph or we die. That's kind of the two options that are available. So let's just morph well.